The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the host/guest and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any of BXR entities and those they represent.
Difficulties. Here we go. Yeah, technical difficulties. It's Friday, y'all. It's Friday 13th. We are Be Exposed Radio, and this is the Skylyne Radio Talk Show. I am your host, Skylyne Mark. Two things. Marie Starr is still out and about, MIA. Our thoughts and prayers go out to her and her family. I have not been in contact with her. I was supposed to get in contact with her this week, but I did not. So I will reach out to her next week on behalf of Latesha Higgs. It's Founders Day for the sorority that she's in. So she will not be with us tonight, but we do have our very special guest. What's up, Baltimore? We have the Michelle Davis that I've wanted on the show for a long time, and I finally got her. Give it up for the one and only Michelle Davis, Baltimore. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm blessed. Tired, but I'm blessed. It's been a long time. I've known of you. I've known of who you are for, I'm going to say, the better part of 3 years. And I've been intrigued with what you do.
Okay.
I've never known of what you do to be a big thing. So that's what caught my curiosity. Different strokes for different folks, and there's a reason for everything. So tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I am from Baltimore, born and raised. Started out my career as an event planner. That's how I got into the wedding industry, and I think about 2011 is when I produced my first bridal fashion event. And that's how Style to the Aisle started. And Style to the Aisle has been going ever since 2011.
That's a long time.
It is.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What were you doing before you got into event planning?
I wanted to be a nurse. Wanted to be a nurse. That was my career path, but sometimes it just don't work out that way. You just go into a totally different direction.
Right. I feel you. Being in retail for 20 plus years, along with management, and being out of it for almost 15 years, as a career path, I never thought I'd get back into it. When I said I was done, I was done.
Mm-hmm.
And the last 2 years have been interesting because I'm on a different side of retail. I'm in the restaurant bar industry. Not gonna say
Okay.
where I work because I'm not gonna say where I work because I don't expect anyone to reveal exactly where they work unless it's
Right.
their own business, because you got security protocols. No matter
Mm-hmm.
if you work at a grocery store, you work at a bank, or you're a professional entrepreneur, athlete, whatever. At the end of the day, you got crazy people out here.
Yeah.
And I've had a stalker once or twice in my adult life, so I'm
Oh
not trying to
wow.
path before. It's the little things that can um that can bring concern. You know what I mean? You don't know what
Mm-hmm.
the motives is. You don't know what their train of thought is. So, you take extra cautious methods when it comes to your surroundings. So, but yeah, it's been interesting. I thought I'd never get back into retail, but I love people. I'm a people person.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it, I've been dealing with the homeless for 7 years this month. Skylyne Foundation,
Wow.
7 years. Um, I might get fined, but I'm gonna do something that has been banned in the state of Maryland. I'm not gonna say
Mm-hmm.
what it is because I'm not gonna throw myself under the bus, but I'm gonna do something on a day of choice.
Mm-hmm.
And if I get a fine, I get a fine. It is what it is, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Um, I pay that. Um, but it's to keep me where I'm at. I need to have some growth. I have to have something that I can work towards. And I've been shopping myself around because I want to be in management. I want to
Mm-hmm.
be. I want to have. I want to learn a different trade within retail. I want to learn the ins and outs of a bar, the ins and outs of a restaurant. I've learned a lot in the last 18 months, 19 months,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I want more.
Okay.
Um, I can't go but so far where I'm at. So I have to move into some type of management. I want to get back real heavy into event planning. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I like putting together events, birthday parties, anniversary parties, and graduation parties, GP parties.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to have some type of party.
Yeah.
Mm. And the first thing I ask with a few of the places that I've gone on interviews is I know you don't have smoking because you can't smoke indoors unless you're a cigar lounge.
Right.
Very few of those. I'm not big in cigars and I don't smoke cigarettes no more, so I could care less. But the biggest thing in the world right now is hookah. I don't
Yeah.
understand why, but people love hookah. You won't smoke a cigarette because it can cause cancer, but you'll smoke hookah, which is 20 times worse than a cigarette. I don't comprehend. I don't. You want to get some hookah? Nope. But I'll take a Newport. If I'm a smoke, I want the real stuff. You know what I mean? I have no idea what that is, and you probably don't either.
Yeah, I don't.
Smoking outside, you're smoking a coal. Nah, give me a cigarette. I don't want just coal.
Mm,
I want some tobacco in there. You know what I mean? So, but again, different strokes for different folks.
yeah.
Give me a drink any day. I'm good. I don't want that because what I don't want to do is go back to smoking. I fell back into smoking 5 years ago. Five, yeah, 5 years ago. And, I was going through something heavy in my personal life. And I was out hanging out one night and I was just like, bump it. Give me a cigarette.
Mm.
Ain't gonna do nothing. That one cigarette turned into 3 cigarettes that night.
Oh,
I was
wow.
good. Didn't have a cigarette till the next day when I was drinking again.
Mhm.
Good. Until I went out the following week. And after that weekend, I noticed, okay, when I drink, I smoke. No biggie. If I don't go out, then I won't smoke. A month later, I was buying a pack of cigarettes.
Mm.
A month after that, I was smoking outside of my house. So I was falling back into where I once was.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks after that, I had noticed I had bought a pack of cigarettes that morning. That evening, when I got off work, I was buying another pack of cigarettes.
Mm.
So I had lost touch on how to channel my energy. And a good friend of mine, who's one of my number one bartenders, um, out at Arundel Mills, he approached me one night when we was out hanging out at some bar in Pasadena, and he says, "Bro, what the hell are you doing? You said this was temporary. That was 6 months ago. You
Mhm.
need to smoke weed. Here, smoke this. Throw that out. This is better for you, and there's no
Mm.
chemicals. So I threw my cigarette out and I took a couple hits, couple puffs of whatever it was that he had. It wasn't a blunt. I think it was like a vapor or something. Um, but it's something that you can pull and you can get something from it. And I didn't like it. I mean, I liked it at the time, but I'm not a weed smoker. So, but I stopped smoking cigarettes that night and have not had one since. So, outside of that 6 months, I haven't had a cigarette in 10 years. So, you figure I went 4.5, almost 5 years, and now it's been 5.5 years. No, 11 years. So I went 5.5 years, and now I've been off it for 5.5 years. So smoking smoking cigarettes channels your energy because you as a smoker don't know how to channel your energy. So to keep your mouth shut, to bite your tongue, so you don't say something that you might regret, whether you mean it or not, you smoke a cigarette. Because if you're smoking a cigarette, you're not running your mouth. That's the difference between a smoker of anything versus a drinker. A drinker, you're just gonna keep going. You know what I mean? A drinker doesn't know how to channel his energy, whether it's good or bad. And the more you drink, the worse you're gonna get. Um,
Right.
you might mean no harm, no foul, but alcoholism is a very dangerous thing.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, and then you throw mental illness into anything and everything, whether you're this or that or that or this. That's a whole completely different story.
Right.
So, but we're here. I'm good, and I don't want no cigarette.
Mhm. Well, that's a blessing.
So, um, did you go to school?
I did not. I graduated from Dunbar, and went into the military right after that.
Oh, that's right. That's what I forgot. That's what intrigued me. Oh,
Mhm.
because I could relate. How long were you in?
I was in for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My father's a Navy vet.
Okay.
He did 23 years in the Navy, so I've been all over the world.
Yeah.
And he did another 33 years as a contractor for the Navy down in between Oxon Hill down at the Naval Research Lab in DC and Fort Meade, where he eventually retired um 3 years ago, I think this year.
Okay.
And then they moved out of state.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I was a contractor for Walter Reed.
okay. Um Yeah, Walter Reed. I went there when my dad had triple bypass, and
Mhm.
I got to go because I've never experienced what you see at Walter Reed.
Yeah.
If no one has ever been and does not know what it is between a difference of a regular hospital and a military hospital, you literally have human robots walking around.
Mhm.
You have people with one limb and a
Yeah.
robot, one leg and a robotic leg, if not two robotic legs,
Yeah.
two robotic arms, a robotic arm and a robotic leg. People that haven't gone through the transformation yet, so they're in wheelchairs.
Yeah.
Um, it was it was depressing, um, but challenging
Mhm.
because your heart goes out to them because you have no idea what they're.
Yeah.
Um, did this happen due to disease, due to war?
Yeah.
Happen, heaven forbid, just because of a everyday life here.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it was it was interesting but depressing. It was heart wrenching but understandable
Yeah.
if 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 you were explained properly as to Why are they here? Why do they only go to
Mm-hmm.
here versus any hospital? Well, you know, I know, but a regular civilian wouldn't know.
Right.
Walter Reed's probably the best military hospital in this country.
Yeah, it is.
It's the hospital that the majority of your big time politicians go to. Your,
Mm-hmm.
your vice presidents,
Yep.
secretary of states, that's where they go for anything and everything. If it's
Yep.
just a little checkup or something major, that's where they go.
Mm-hmm.
So, what made you go in the military?
Um, I didn't want to go to college right away. So, and just wanted to. I was like, okay, that's my alternative. So I just said, well, the recruiters, they come to the high school, make it sound all glamorous, and you're just like, okay, all right. And me and a couple of my, classmates, we kind of said, okay, yeah, we gonna go. So we went, and
How'd
I
you like?
didn't like it, so I was they make it all nice and glamorous, and then once you get there, you're like, this is not what they told me it would be like. So yeah.
How'd you like boot camp?
You know what? It wasn't that bad. I tell
What?
people all the time, whoever goes, Navy boot camp is probably one of the easiest than any of the other ones. I mean, because it's more school more than anything.
Right. What time of year did you go to boot camp?
I went in July because I went to Great Lakes. So I was not trying to go to Illinois in the wintertime. So I was like, send me in the summer.
Look, I'm from Chicago, so everyone that's like, what branch you in? Navy. Oh, how did you like boot camp? And a lot of them, almost the majority of them, are like, that Midwest is a different type of cold versus the East Coast.
It
Versus,
is.
and
Yeah.
yeah, nothing to take away from Memphis, but Kansas City, St. Louis, Minneapolis, Chicago, Milwaukee, anyone and everyone from them particular cities in the Midwest, they will tell you the Northeast has no idea what cold is.
No,
And,
they don't.
and everyone on the East Coast just had a 20-year flashback of what the East Coast used to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
We just got flashbacks in Chicago of what we used to deal with 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But global warming has changed everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, everyone's like, oh, I couldn't live in Chicago in the wintertime. Yes, you could. Like when I came back, I was like, I went to the gym. I didn't go to any other manager because he worked all weekend.
Mm-hmm.
He's from Connecticut, so he already knows what time it is. I
Yeah.
said, how many people called out this weekend because it was so ignorantly easy cold? He was like, "Oh, I expected half of them to call out, but we didn't have not one call out." Oh, okay. So
Mm-hmm.
next time you say, "Oh, it's cold out," I'm gonna look at you like you half crazy with horns growing out your forehead because you just experienced real cold.
Yeah.
40, 45, 50 degrees. That's not cold, but you got the audacity to have a winter coat on. Oh, it's cold. Oh my gosh. Serious? I'm the type of person, if it can't freeze, it's not cold.
Mm.
And a lot of people will tell you, unless I've been outside feeding the homeless or I'm walking and I'm taking the light rail somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
you're not gonna catch me in no coat.
Yeah, no.
No, you're not. I'm not from here. So I mean, my blood it flows differently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's not cold out. Like if I knew I was gonna be out as long as I was today,
Mm-hmm.
I would have at least taken a jacket. All I wore was a hoodie.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Wife beater and a hoodie. I'm good. I don't need
Oh
no
wow.
and I ended up being out 30 minutes to an hour longer than I planned but I was good because I was moving. And that's what society, we're not going to say people, society. I don't care if you're young, old, fat, skinny, rich, poor, healthy, sick, black, white, green, blue, yellow, orange, brown. If you're moving, your blood pressure's up. If your blood
Yeah.
pressure is up, your blood is flowing, so heat is flowing throughout your body. That's what's going to
Yeah.
keep you warm. If you're sitting still doing nothing, you're going to get cold. If your mind is occupied and you're not moving, your mind's occupied, so it's too busy to realize you're cold, or as cold as you might be. I might say, man, I'm really starting to get cold, but I might actually be freezing, but my mind's busy. So it doesn't have time to think, oh, well, you need a jacket or a coat because you're freezing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, my dad went, God, you figure that was 50, 56 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that type of cold, and he went in the middle of like January.
Mm-mm.
His What got me through it, I had a lot of training at home because he was the oldest of five, two brothers,
Mm-hmm.
sisters. So when when my grandfather wasn't home, he was the man of the house. Okay,
Okay.
you're like 9. Yep, and I'm the oldest, so the chores were thrown on me. So he had to go out in that blustery cold air,
Mm-hmm.
shovel coal for the coal heater in the house, or however they did it way back in the heyday. And they didn't have no bathroom. And I,
Mm.
huh? He says, yeah, you have no idea how good you in society has no idea how good y'all have it versus what we had as kids.
Right. Yeah.
And I said, that, like, I asked him a couple weeks ago, I was like, this used to be typical winter in the Midwest. He's from Southern Illinois, like 20 minutes from SIU. If you're familiar with Southern Illinois, Carbondale, Illinois, they're like 30-35 minutes away. Um,
Okay.
if you're familiar with the Mississippi and Missouri River, 45 minutes to an hour to where those two rivers actually meet. So, you know, I was like, what did you do when you had to go to the bathroom if you had to run to an outlet? He said, well, you didn't fiddle fart around, that's for sure. Uh, things freeze in seconds. He said, let's just say I went to bed a whole lot of times with stomach aches.
Mm.
I said, no, you didn't. He said, yep, I did. I tried my hardest to hold my bowel movements until the next day when I went to school.
Mm.
I'm like, you know, your heart doesn't drop because it's 50, 60 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
but you think about the people that deal with that now.
Yeah.
Homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
If you have morals and you're not that demented in the head, you gotta hold it until you have some sort of privacy.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's day or night. We used to feed at Charles Plaza, right on the side of 7-Eleven. And there used to be a guy, when I say I literally started having security come out just to watch for this guy because
Mm-hmm.
he was literally no values at all. He didn't care who was around. He would step to the curb, turn around, pull his sweatpants down, and bend over and just go.
Oh,
There might be
wow.
people walking by. There might be kids walking by. He didn't have no paper one day. He wrote
Mm.
with his hand.
Oh, my goodness.
I've never been so grossed out in my life.
That's disgusting.
It is. And in 7 years, I've never come close to anything like this.
Mm.
Here before COVID, we were feeding the homeless in Baltimore and DC every weekend.
Mhm.
Um, and then after my parents retired, um, we started going out of state and feeding twice a month where they're at.
Mhm.
Um, not really feeding, but taking stuff to the shelter because different states have different rules and regulations
Right.
with different type of events, even if they're outside.
Mhm.
I just heard on the news that we're getting ready to go backwards because the president just reiterated something that has to do with COVID because all throughout the country, the numbers, figuratively speaking, are
Right.
going up. Yeah, it's wintertime. People getting sick. Do you not see what just happened? You had this 1 in a million chance winter vortex just come out of nowhere. That's the second one this year. I swear to God,
Mhm.
tell people, get your mind right, get your life right, because Jesus is coming. If he's not already here, he coming. We just had this in October. My parents both said, I don't remember the last time it was this cold, this quick, and it's not even Halloween yet. And you live in the
Yeah.
Midwest. So that right there tells you something. Then we just had this stuff
Mhm.
older in 17, no, in 22 states at least. It was colder than Reykjavik, Iceland.
Mm.
That was my dad's last duty station overseas before he was stationed at Fort Meade, where he retired from the Navy. And when did he retire? 80, 89.
Mm.
So to know that you're roughly 25 degrees colder than Reykjavik, Iceland, that
Mm.
on an airplane, you're 30, 40 minutes or so, maybe 45 minutes away from the North Pole.
Yeah.
How is that humanly possible that we're colder essentially than different parts of the neighboring North Pole areas? That's insane.
Yeah.
Um, I don't remember what the daytime highs here. I know they were bare minimum in the low to mid teens. Our daytime high the Friday before Christmas in Chicago was -3. That night it dropped down to -19, wind chill -35.
Mm.
So I was like, yeah, check please. I'm ready to go back to the DMV because and the crazy thing is I want to move back home.
Mhm.
To move back home forever.
Mhm.
And last spring, I threw it out there. What if my son's grown? I don't have nothing holding me back,
Mhm.
um, other than me.
Mhm.
And, um, I was like, what if? What if I did this now?
Mhm.
Could I do it? So I asked management. I was like, can I transfer?
Mhm.
They were like, yeah, where you want to go? Home. They were like, "Mm, like another store here or Chicago? And I was like, nah, Chicago. And they
Mhm.
would pick the one you call, pick the one you want, and call and talk to the GM, talk to the restaurant manager.
Mhm.
And the restaurant manager wasn't there, but the GM was. So our conversation might have been 5, 10 minutes tops long.
Mhm.
And I was like, this is what I want. This is what I do here. I do this, and it's on the kitchen side. And I do
Mhm.
this, and this on the restaurant side.
Mhm.
So he was like, when do you want to start? I said, July 4th. That's a Monday. He says, excuse me? I said, yeah, for all your employees that want time off, just know you have one that's transferring and he wants to start that day because you're going to be busy.
Mhm.
Ain't nobody working. Everyone's out and about. No matter where you're at, no matter how cold it is, everyone's going to be out and about doing whatever they're doing, getting ready for that night to see fireworks. So I was counting the days down.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, when I say I was counting them down, every 5 days, I was just taking off 5 days. Yep, this many days left. I think
Mm-hmm.
I got down to 25 or 30 days. And I had 2 business partners gang up on me individually and said their piece. And they made me offers that I couldn't refuse.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am, still in Baltimore. Now that things are looking to get a little bit better on the professional side,
Mm-hmm.
as far as my 9 to 5, um, I don't think I'm going anywhere for the next 2. I might have to push that to 3 years now.
Mm.
With my business partners, I said a year tops. 2,
Mm-hmm.
a year, 2 tops. Now with this going on, I might have to push that back 2 to 3 years, because wherever I land, I'm gonna want to give them at least a year, if not 2, to make it worth my while to have some type of significance experience wise under my belt, and then find something in Chicago that I would be happy with working for. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Um, if and when I do go home and I'm still in the restaurant business, I already have an idea of the first 3 places that I want to try to get a job with in management. And that's the Harry Carey restaurant, Michael Jordan's restaurant, Mike Dicka's restaurant. They're all top end steak houses. Um, there's all kinds of money in it, because ordinary people aren't going.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to Fridays and Applebee's and Texas Roadhouse and Outback and Olive Garden and them type of restaurants, because they're nice restaurants, you're not going to these restaurants, not because you can't afford it, but because it doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference. You can afford it, but does it make sense to go there when you might be taken away from something else?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I've always tried to teach my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you always gotta think wisely. Yeah, them shoes look good, but they're
Mm-hmm.
$200. You spend $200 on them shoes. What are you taking away from?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You're 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. You got a good job. You're paying your bills. But what are you taking away from if you just take out $200 and burn it?
Right.
Okay, but you got something for it. But it's materialistic. Is
Mm-hmm.
it really worth it? You know what I
Right.
mean? Um, I've been ganged up on for hanging out the way I hang out. Why you always got to go out all the time? We can't afford it. Well, take a good look in the mirror and ask why you have so many responsibilities. I don't have that problem, so I can afford to go out. I can afford to go out every day if I want to, but it doesn't make sense.
Right.
If I go out every day, I'm not gonna get to where I need to be within my 9 to 5, because I'm gonna go to work every day tired
Mm-hmm.
ish, moving slow.
Right.
Restaurant and bar industry, that's not a slow paced work job.
Yeah.
Everything's fast paced. So, in a sense, you got to be on your P's and Q's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as an event coordinator, event planner, and getting everything, all your I's dotted and T's crossed, you can't be doing that stuff and you tired.
Yeah, you cannot.
Over. Man, I'm tired. Ain't nobody tell you run the streets all night last night till 2 in the morning, knowing you had to be in here at 7:30, 8 o'clock. You know what I mean? In your 20s and 30s, you can do that. In your 40s and 50s, you gotta slow.
Mm-mm.
I didn't get my nap in today. Yes, I did. Man, I'm trying to tell you, 30 minutes to an hour, you'd be surprised what that cat nap can do for you.
Mhm.
You take a shower behind it, boy, you got your second wind, man. You ready to rock and roll now. So, you know what I mean? To each his own. I mean, I remember having 2 full-time jobs and going out every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Mm.
And my mom was like, I remember it. My mom was like, I was what, 24 and 28. And I remember it. My mom saying, uh-huh, you're gonna pay for that one day.
Mhm.
It's hard enough to work 50, 60 hours a week
Yeah.
and hang out on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and not go to work Monday feeling like, why'd I do that?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But I still have that mindset of, and my body's still adjusted to it. Give me another 10 years and that'll be out the window. As long as I got 4 or 5 hours of good sleep and 5 or 6 hours of at least some relaxation of rest, I'm good.
Mhm.
I might go around, man, I'm tired. I'm tired. But I'm drinking a lot of water. I mix water with lemonade, so I'm getting a little bit of sugar in there to give me to boost my energy up a little bit. I've gotten away from drinking all the sweet tea and all the soda at work. I don't need all that sugar. My body
Mhm.
don't need it either. Um, my biggest issue is my health because I'm borderline heart attack stroke because of fried food. When
Mhm.
do you stop eating fried food? Well, good luck with that. Not that I try, not that I don't try, but it's like working in a restaurant that 90% of the stuff is fried.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I can't eat salads all day, every day, because I've been there, done that. But it's like, like I said at work today, I went in briefly on my day off and I was there an hour and a half, maybe, just to take care of some odd and in out of the store business. Um, um, see, I'm old. Um, I forgot where I was going with this. See, old age because I ain't get my nap. But it's working 8 days a week, 35 hours a day. There's never enough time in a day to do everything that you need to do.
Mhm.
Even if you plan accordingly, your plans don't always go accordingly.
Right.
Phone conferences run over time. Zoom meetings run over time. Person to person meetings run over time. Interviews and consultations run over time.
Mhm.
That's the price you pay if you're an entrepreneur. That's the price you pay of being a boss. If
Yeah.
you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur. That's the price
Mhm.
you pay of being an owner. You know what I mean? In management, that's the price you pay. Um, if you're working 40 hours a week and it takes you 30 minutes to 2 hours to get to work because of public transportation one way, that's time consuming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you could take a lift for Uber to work every day, back and forth,
That's
but that's
expensive.
expensive. Key word, that's expensive. You know what I mean? And eventually it's going to show because you're pretty much working just to pay Uber and Lyft.
Mhm.
Where I live now, when I live downtown, you know, I'm in walking distance of the light rail. So, where I live now, if I take a lift to work or I take a lift from work to home, depending on the time of day, that lift can be anywhere from $35 to $60.
Mm.
If it's a peak time, oh no,
Oh yeah.
go with Uber, because Lyft done fell and bumped their head about 4 or 5 times. You can call Lyft any name you want, Stacy, Karen, Linda, whatever names, other names they call women that don't listen. Um, you know what I mean? I don't know where they went after Stacy. Like boys, what was it? Friday it was Stacy, and then it went to something else, and then it went to something else. Then somewhere somehow, because of everything going on in society, here came your Karens and here came your Lindas. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Mhm.
So enough about me. Look, I'll ramble if you let me. Uh, let's see. What were your options of your thinking when you got out the military as far as what you wanted to do?
Well, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. Because like I said, I was young. I knew I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to be a nurse. So, I did go back to school. I started going back to school. So I started classes. Um, but it just so happened I was still going taking my classes for nursing, and then one of my good friends, she was getting married, and I was in the wedding, so I was a bridesmaid, and her cousin was the maid of honor. So I think maybe like a month, maybe it was a few weeks before the wedding. And you know how, well, you might not know, but
You'd be
the
surprised.
store called her and said, the dresses are back, they're ready, but your maid of honor still has not gotten her dress. And so she ended up calling her, and she finally told her that she didn't have the money basically to get the dress. So she couldn't be in the wedding. So, and she, was like, well, you really wanted Michelle to be your maid of honor anyway, because, we were good friends. And she's like, well, just let Michelle be your maid of honor. So in that instance, of course, we went back to the store. We changed my dress. I was now the maid of honor. And of course, I'm looking at it like, okay, well, I really don't, I've never been in a wedding, so I don't really know what a maid of honor is supposed to do. So, and she didn't have a coordinator. So I just kind of started helping her plan everything else that was, that she had to do for the wedding. We stayed up till the middle of the night. We were creating not the invitations, but we were creating the programs. And I really just took a liking to it. And I was just like, okay. And once I started doing that, like I said, helped her find the florist at the last minute, just like her last minute vendors. I helped her do that. The logistics for the wedding, I helped her with that. And like I said, I just was drawn to it after I really got into it. And then after that, I ended up planning my grandmother's party. And my family just, after that, people were just like, can you help me plan this event? Can you help me plan that event? And after that, I was just like, wait a minute, like I really like this. Like I really enjoy it, planning events, putting things together, decorating, that whole aspect of, event planning. And I think at the time, the first show I saw was Whose Wedding Was It Anyway? That was on TV, like really, really heavy. And I was just, like, oh wow, this is, I think I'm onto something. And after that, I kind of was like, wait. So I was like, maybe I can go into business. People were telling me I'm good at it. So why not, start a business? So me sometimes I'm like, I'm not just gonna go just jump into something. So I want to know, everything that goes into it. So I'm like, okay, well, I see all the glitz and glam on TV, but I know there has to be more to it. So I end up going online, found an event planning course online, and became certified. And I've been in the industry for almost 20 years now.
Wow.
Yep.
Interesting.
hmm
Um, what's I'm looking at these questions and I'm like, I've asked that and that and that and that kind of answer with that. Um, how'd you come up with the name Style to the Owl?
Okay. So when I first went into business, the event planning side, my company was Memorable Moment. And Style to the Owl actually came about because of the event that I did in 2011. Um, and I figured I wanted to do something because already I was in the wedding industry, but I started going with my brides to these bridal shows, and I was just like, this is just too much. Brides, they get overwhelmed. And I was just like, and I've always been a lover of fashion. So I was just like, the bridal shows that they had, the fashion aspect of the show itself was just, it was just a mess. The dresses, the dresses, they would, I think back then, the first thing they would do was go to David's Bridal. And sometimes I thought they would just get like the worst dresses that they could find. And
Mm,
the fashion shows were just like so cookie cutter. I was just like, no, like this is not it. So basically what happened was Style to the Owl came about because I was like, I want to create an event where it's solely focused on fashion and beauty, the things that brides really, really love. Because of course, when you get engaged, you're not worried about the first thing you're not worried about is you're not worried about if you're going to serve chicken or fish. You're thinking about the dress. What are we going to wear? Your friends are going to ask you, what is everybody going to wear? What are the colors?
right.
So Style to the Owl came about because the owl is the bride's runway. So that was the name of my event. It was Style to the Owl, a bride's runway. Because when the doors open, that white carpet is her runway.
Hmm.
So that's how I came up with the name.
Okay.
Yep.
When's your next wedding?
When's my next wedding?
Hmm.
I don't actually, I retired from doing weddings. So I don't do weddings anymore. Yeah, I don't. I say I retired, but if someone who I really, really like asks me to do their wedding, then I will do it because I have done a couple of my models that have gotten married. I planned their wedding for them. So yeah, if I like you, I'll plan your I'll do it. But if it's just somebody that's just like, hey, no, it's not my cup of tea anymore. Now, if a bride needs me to style her for her wedding, then yes. So that's pretty much our focus now is on the styling aspect of wedding. So we're still fashion focused um, when it comes to the wedding. So now we're offering styling for brides. And then, of course, we collaborate with brands and wedding professionals in the industry as well. So I've done collaborations with CoverGirl. Um, we just collaborated last year with Live for their bridal event. So we produced a fashion show for them, and then they're having their event again. So I'm producing their fashion show again for 2023.
Live.
The
Live.
casino,
That's
Maryland
what
Live.
I thought you were talking about. Like,
Yeah.
okay, she in a casino business. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's been pretty big. So we're pretty excited to be expanding to, working with wedding venues
Okay.
to produce their fashion shows for them.
Um, interesting. So you gonna do my wedding?
I will. If you need me to do your wedding, I will be there to do it.
I guess I need to find a bride then.
Well.
That's not the easiest thing to do.
No, it's not. The dating pool right now is.
Okay. If you answer this, you can say next question because you might have answered it in a roundabout way within explaining the last couple questions I've asked you. What exactly is a bridal expert?
Well, it depends because a lot of people say they're experts, but when they open their mouth, you're like, wait, they really don't know what they're talking about. But I think it's someone who has mastered their craft. That's who I say is an expert. I of course call myself a bridal expert because I've had over a decade of experience in the wedding industry. That transition from event planning to now in the bridal fashion world. So I can, and of course, with being on radio, TV, panels with, some top wedding celebrities. So yeah, I can say I'm a wedding expert.
Which leads to my next question.
Mhm.
Who are some of the biggest names individually? Names, company, um, what are some of your biggest, most elegant and memorable bridal events that you've been involved with when it comes to the individual, when it comes to the company? Um, what are some of your most memorable on the good side,
Mhm.
on the bad side?
Um, I guess individually, um, I know because some people they do ask me like, well, what's the worst side of event planning? Um, I would say that sometimes their personalities. Some brides can be bridezillas. I've had to let brides out of their contract because we just don't fit. Some people don't realize that everybody's not your client. Um, of course, I think the most memorable event I've done, I think probably is I'm gonna say the show with Live because they actually brought me on in like 6 weeks. 6 weeks before the show was supposed to happen. And my team and I was able to pull it off. We were even able to collaborate with Kleinfeld, which of course I don't know if you know what Kleinfeld's is, but it's one of the biggest bridal boutiques in New York.
Okay.
We were able to collaborate with them, and they we had their gowns in the show as well. So that was a huge hit. And then of course the events that I've done for myself. I've had an event at the Fillmore. Um, so that was a big hit. Um, yeah, I don't think I've had any disappointments. I think, like I said, I think the lowest point of my career was, of course, having to let brides out of their contract. But other than that, I think for the most part, just being able to, be a part of somebody's um, day, especially when it comes to a wedding, because that is one of the most memorable moments that they're going to have as a couple.
Uh-huh.
So to be able to be a part of that and to be able to execute their vision for what they're envisioning for their day, I think that's a high point.
Okay. You ever done someone famous wedding?
I have not. No. No.
not to name drop.
Well, Maya was a bridesmaid in the wedding that I did. I will say that. So she wasn't the bride, but she was a bridesmaid.
Who, Maya?
Mm-hmm.
I've met her twice, and she is about sweeter than a button.
She is. She's really sweet.
I met her when she first came out.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, she's so shy.
Yeah.
And when I met her again, I'ma say I met her around the same, give or take a few weeks, around the same time I met Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And actually had my son with me when he was a baby. I think he was like maybe two and a
Mm-hmm.
half. I don't think he was quite 3 yet. And she she um she spoke to me briefly and asked about him and was like this, that, whatever, and the third, and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
We had a good conversation, and I was like, that's when I became a real big fan of Eve. Because at the end of the day, she's not a bitch. She's not arrogant. She's a sweet individual. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? At the end of the day, that's what a lot of society fails to realize. At the end of the day, these people are still just people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have everyday people that have private lives for a reason. A lot of your celebrities choose to be private because of security concerns.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I got millions of dollars. I got hundreds of millions of dollars. Michael Jordan. I have billions of dollars. There's
Yeah.
why I live my life accordingly in my
Mm-hmm.
in my day and night travels because of who I am. You know what I mean? I can't go somewhere and you not know who I am.
Right.
Lamar Jackson. I guarantee you, Lamar Jackson is not going up Dave and Buster's unannounced no more.
Right.
His rookie year, his first year, his second year, yeah, it was nothing to see him. And if you're not looking for Lamar Jackson, then you're not gonna know who that is sitting at the bar. You're not
Mm-hmm.
gonna know who that is on the last bowling alley or the last bowling frame in the bowling alley. Now that Lamar's done what he's done on the field and off, now
Mm-hmm.
he's made a lucrative name for himself. Now that he's got records in the books, everyone knows who Lamar Jackson is, even if you're
Right.
not. And he's back then. I don't know now. I would like to think he hasn't changed, but
Mm-hmm.
you never know from person to person.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you don't know anyone's story. Um, there's a whole lot of speculation going on that they're seriously thinking about trading him in the off season. I'm not a Ravens fan, but you'd be crazy as hell to let that man walk. But it's a business. You
Yeah.
know? But the couple times he was in there, we knew because management came to us, hey, the guy at the end of the bar, that's Lamar Jackson. If you happen to recognize him, which you will now because I just came over and said something. But
Right.
I had to, because just in case you realize who that was, leave him alone.
Mm-hmm.
Not here for extra attention. At the end of the day, superstars like to go out and just be relaxed in the sun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Dave and Buster's ain't what it used to be. It ain't what Jillian's used to be. It was
Mm-hmm.
a thing to see a celebrity, an actor, an actress, someone who's from the DMV. I mean, I never saw Goldie Hawn. I never saw Martin Lawrence. Um, but I met Yolanda. What the hell is her name? Track star. Uh, that ain't even Jackie Joyner Kersey. Is that her name?
She is a track star, yeah.
One of the greatest, right? From like the
Mm-hmm.
80s, early
Yeah.
90s. Okay, yeah. She came up there, and at the time, was I working there? No, I think I had just quit, and they wouldn't let her in because between her and her husband, they had one or two more kids than what per couple can have. And I was
Mm.
like, "Do you know who that is?"
Mm-hmm.
No. Do you value your job? Because you can be fired tonight if you do not let that woman in. That's one of the greatest Olympians of all time.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta let that woman in. And she came over and was like, "I don't know what you said to him, but I thank you. You want an autograph?" I said, "Nope, I don't do autographs. Because at the end of the day, you're an individual person.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take a picture with you though. I'm a picture person. You know, um, some of the biggest names that you would think are raunchy, they're just ordinary people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've met Tigger. I know Flex and Rico for WPGC.
Mm-hmm.
I met Tigger once. I don't know if he was on personal calls, business calls. It is what it is. I don't have nothing bad to say about the guy. I've never heard a whole lot of BS with him when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to drama. You know, from what I've heard and what I've seen in passing, Tigger's a good dude. Um, I love Flex and Rico. They my guys. I've known them since Margarita Maggie's in Calverton, Dinosaurs and Laurel. So I mean, you're looking at 20 plus years. Um, High Def Sounds, I met at Margarita Maggie's in Columbia and DJ Ice and the Iceland organization. Um, they're everyday people. You know what I mean? I met Wild Child DNA a couple years ago through Rich James and Mo Dirty at 16th on the 16th in the park
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. I can't remember the name of it. Um, they're everyday people,
Yeah.
and a lot of people watch what I do that I know that I don't know because of what I do for the community,
Mm-hmm.
what I do for the homeless and less fortunate, for what I do for these kings, for what I do for these queens, for what I do for these children.
Mm-hmm.
I don't discriminate because at the end of the day, that can be me.
Mm-hmm.
It can be you. Um, April Watts. I've known of April Watts for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I know her by her model name, Mecca. I remember when the DMV triple threat was Mecca, April Watts, Liz Robbins, and Ani Love. Like, if you had one of them women at your event, you somebody. But if you got all three of them, you must be known
Mm-hmm.
because they're not easy to get. I mean, look how hard it is to book April Watts now. You know what I mean? You're not just playing with the DMV, you playing with the whole country because the whole country's watching what she does because she's that good at what she does.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Um, with you getting into the casino side of events, Atlantic City's watching, Las Vegas is watching. Let's see a couple more events. Oh no, we're gonna have to bring her out to Vegas because that's the ultimate stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When it comes to casinos, um, Federal Starr, um, Cherie English, um, Adina Howard, some of the best celebrities I've ever met.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Cherie English is my homegirl. Like, we don't talk as often as we probably should, but
Mm-hmm.
her schedule and my schedule, they just don't mesh. So we do a whole lot of Instagram or Facebook more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you want to keep people in your circle on any level, everyday level, um, your business contacts, your advisor contacts, your celebrity contacts. You want to keep everyone within your circle to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Derek Chase is one of my mentors. He helped me learn the aspects of event planning, hosting parties.
Mm-hmm.
A lot from him when he was at I can't even think of the place, when he was on Calvert Street. And a lot of people in his circle is how I know who they are from that location.
Mm-hmm.
Mo Dirty, Rich James, One Love, um, DJ Mr. Electric, and a handful of other DJs. I met all of them through Derek Chase.
Mm-hmm.
When I wanted to start doing community initiatives for the homeless, I knew how to get I knew how to go around it
Mm-hmm.
because of what Derek taught me. All you're doing is giving them a day party. The only difference is you're out and about in the elements.
Mm-hmm.
So with learning, look, you go under the 83 bridge and you set up shop, you don't have to go find them because they smell the food. So they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
come. And it wasn't but a couple weeks, maybe the first month I started, I met Shorty's Bootleg Barbecue. Um, what's up, Shorty? Shorty's Bootleg Barbecue, so good it should be illegal. We do the good in the hood because no one else does. Um, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's educational.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I say it all the time. Just because you're homeless doesn't mean you have a drug problem.
Right. Yeah.
Because you're homeless doesn't mean you got an alcohol problem.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're homeless doesn't mean you made bad choices in life. Just because you're homeless doesn't mean you have mental illness.
Right.
What did we just go through 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
This thing called a pandemic. COVID-19 came around and changed everyone's lives. 10 to 20 million people across the country became homeless
Mm.
because you couldn't go to work.
Yeah.
Bill man don't want to hear that. I don't care if it's
Sure
rent,
don't.
car note, insurance. They don't want to hear that. That sounds like
Mm-mm.
a problem. I want my money.
Mm-hmm.
People lost their house, their apartment, their condos, their cars. People lost their way of life. If you're living with someone, you're homeless because that's not yours. If you're living in a hotel, that's not yours. You're homeless. You just
Right.
happen to be able to afford a service.
Yeah.
But a lot of people ended up on the streets
Mm-hmm.
because they had no place to go.
Yeah.
Suicide exploded.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 2 years, you've had more people commit suicide in this country than you have in the last 5 years.
Mm.
And a lot of it, as much as you hate to say mental illness,
Mm-hmm.
not everything is because of mental illness. Get that out of your train of thought. I don't care if you're home, in your neighborhood. I don't care if you're at work. I've seen it at work. Bullying is a huge problem, and it's probably one of the top three factors of why people commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Ages 6, I think that's the youngest I've ever heard, through high school.
Mm-hmm.
What is so bad in a child's life that they take their own?
Yeah.
Bullying. I've learned a lot through Shanetta Malkaya of Empowerment Essence. She's one of my partners with Feed the Homeless, uh,
Mhm.
with Skylyne Foundation. I've learned a lot from her because she's a two-time survival of suicide attempted. Uh,
Mhm.
she's a suicide and homeless suicide and bullying advocate, prevention advocate. She goes to the elementary schools, the middle schools, the high schools, the hospitals. Um, the way she acts, because you're treating them other than what they are, which is a human,
Mhm.
exactly how Shorty acts when it comes to inmates and homeless people. At the end of the day, they're not animals, they're people. Somewhere in the political world, they got the train of thought that, oh well, they're not us, so they're not important.
Mhm.
Just because you're in jail doesn't mean you did the crime.
Right.
Just because you got a criminal record doesn't mean you're a criminal. Look how many people are coming out of jail because they finally found out, you know what? We messed up,
Mhm.
and we messed up bad. Stop trying to blame someone for your faults.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Take some responsibility. That's the problem with society. There's no accountability. None. And COVID just made it worse.
Mhm.
You see it in everyday life. Everything is worse than what it was before COVID started. Road rage, 10
Oh,
times worse.
yeah.
Patience within stores dealing with customers and restaurants. People literally out here feel like they privileged.
Mhm.
You know what? You are privileged. Go to liquor store, go to Burger King, get your food because you can have it your way. And then you only have to follow the rules and regulations of your house that you.
Mhm.
What you mean I can't have a drink? That's not Maryland law. That's the law of society. You have
Right.
to have identification on you at all times. Because heaven forbid, whether you're eating or you're drinking, and it doesn't have to be alcohol, something detrimental happens to you health wise, and you
Mhm.
have to be rushed to the hospital. Guess what? Your chances of dying have just escalated because by law, they can't touch you until they figure out who you are.
Mhm.
They don't know what you're allergic to, they don't know your history, nothing.
Yeah.
So you're going to sit there and you're going to wait. Oh, I'm bleeding. Put this on it because I can't give you nothing. I can't give you nothing for the pain. Can't give you a pill because I don't know who you are. If I give you something and you're allergic to it, you can drop dead.
Mhm.
Card me. You just made my day. I mean, really, is it that big of a deal that you don't want to show your ID? But you got
Right.
warrants. You got warrants. Like as, as an event planner, you don't. How do you do that? How do you contract someone out that wants to have a wedding if they're a juvenile? Oh, I'm 16. I ran away. I've been on my own.
Oh, see that I wouldn't know.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not going around, oh, how old are you? Because you look like a little ass girl. You know, like, to the best of your knowledge, is there any type of rules, regulations, things that can prevent you from being an event coordinator for a wedding? Other than the fact if someone's got warrants.
um, No, I don't think so. I think it probably would depend on the venue, wherever they're trying to have the wedding.
Right.
But for the most part, they don't really there's not too many restrictions on the as the event planner. No. Of course, when you're talking about because I've done a Nigerian wedding before.
Ooh,
Um, that is definitely interesting.
I was gonna say that sounds real interesting because I know a lot of Nigerians.
Yeah, their weddings is mm, it's over the top, but
Memorable.
definitely it's definitely memorable. But for the most part, there's really no restrictions. And even which that was, I think that was one of the first weddings, because typically if you go to a hotel and you say, you know, I want to have my wedding here, of course, the hotel is going to say, okay, the food and beverage minimum is, and they're not going to allow any outside food to come in.
Right.
However, for my clients, they did allow them to bring in the food because it was a Nigerian wedding, and because they didn't, their staff didn't know how to prepare the food. So they were
Exactly.
able to bring the food in, but the staff just served it. So it was, like I said, that was an experience in itself, but it was amazing. That was an amazing experience.
Have you ever done a wedding out of state?
No, I have not.
So you haven't gone to the islands for a wedding?
No.
Would you?
I listen, if they paying for me to go, yes.
If
As
I was
long as they paying, I'm ready to go.
if I was to ever get married out of state and I didn't go home to Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
then it's definitely got to be a late spring or early fall because you don't want to have nothing in the summertime because for all y'all mischief people that don't have no intelligence, it gets hot as hell in Chi-Town.
Woo, yes.
Like it gets ignorantly hot and their humidity is different too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been there in the summer too. It's
I think the humidity there is worse than here. But a lot of people here say the humidity here is worse than out there.
mm. I say the humidity in Houston. Whew, that's terrible.
I got a homeboy that's relocating to Houston
Mm.
as we speak. Um, Shout out to my man Quincy, DJ Nat.
Yeah,
Uh,
Houston and New Orleans, their heat is just a completely
oh,
different beast.
New Orleans is ignorant for no reason.
Yeah.
I will never come here again in the summertime. First
Yeah.
time I ever went was for my birthday in June 17th.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a good time. We had a really good time. It was very memorable. The food,
Amazing.
the food.
Amazing.
Say that one more time for the dummies in the back.
It's amazing. That food in New Orleans is amazing.
Look, I could care less if I ever have another ground beef burger again. Cause that Gator burger down there,
Oh, see, I ain't had that.
yeah. When you go again, you got to go get you a Gator burger.
I'll
That
pass.
joker, that joker was so good, so tender. It was
Mm.
believable. Um, I've been twice since no once. I've been once since, and we're actually supposed to go. I don't think we are because ain't nobody said nothing. And I've even put it out there and no one responded. So if I do go, I might be going solo dolo. And I don't have that because I've never been to Mardi Gras. So
Okay.
Mardi Gras will never be what it was before Katrina. But you know what? I'm probably never gonna make it to Oktoberfest in Germany. So I take what I can get. Germany, you get a mug, if I'm not mistaken, about this. Now I have this next to my beard in my head. So you see the significant size of this bottle, right?
Mm-hmm.
The mug is about that much wider, right? I don't know what it is now. My son's mother was in the army and she was over there. And she went to Oktoberfest. And you know, back then I think she said the mug was like $30-$40. But you buy the mug, you buy a beer in that particular mug, and your beer refills are free the entire, whether you go another time, whether you just go that one time and you just get refills, or you go back different days, providing you have that mug, your beer's free. I would be selling beer. So, bro, your cup almost empty. You want a beer? I can fill it for $5. Right? Now, you figure 23, 24, 25 years later, I'm sure their prices on their mugs, if they still do it that way, I'm sure they've gone up significantly. Like, if you had, we'll say 5 years, 6, 7 years ago, if you were doing events, $20 per person, all you can drink, you're not doing that 7 years later.
Yeah, no.
First and foremost, COVID happened. And then everything went berserk and went up, not down. Except for your salary.
Yeah.
You need to be charging like $40, $50 a person, all you can drink. Should have been charging that then. But nowadays, with everything going up, everything, including your side dish, has gone up between 50 cents and $1.
Look at the eggs.
Look,
eggs is ridiculous right now.
This whole shopping on the outside, I don't like it. Shopping in civilian grocery stores, Safeway, Giant, Wise, it's irky. It's annoying is for once I washed my mouth. Like, until 3 years ago, I've always shopped at the military grocery store.
Okay.
Ain't nothing like a commissary, boy. I'm
trying. It's nothing like it.
And you know, if I catch my parents, because our schedules don't mesh either. But if I catch them, hey, look, how long y'all plan on being in the Annapolis Fort Meade area? How long y'all plan on being in the Fort Meade Andrews area?
Yeah.
Can I meet y'all somewhere? Because I need to go. You know what I mean? I don't like Annapolis. I don't like Andrews. Fort Meade, their commissary is huge. And you got everything in that thing. You got everything on top of everything on top of everything. If they ain't got it, it's because they're out. It's not because they don't have it to sell.
Right.
It's because they're out. I can go to commissary fill my cart up, have stuff falling out, and have stuff under the basket itself, and I can walk out and I didn't spend $400.
Mm-hmm.
I can go to Safeway on Boston Street and I can have 15 items and spend $285.
Mm-hmm.
Now you tell me how that makes sense.
It does not.
And you wonder why people try and go to the grocery store and steal something. 9
Mm-hmm.
times out of 10, they can't afford it. Because y'all pitching a bitch, oh, we can't afford to raise your salary. But you're raising everything in here when it comes to food, beverage, alcohol, beer, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I know what prices are going up in a restaurant, at a bar, because I work at one. I was like, prices went up. Yeah, they went up on average like a quarter, 50 cent. Wrong, 75 cents to $1. Like a lot of your restaurants, you get your different margaritas, like your hurricanes and your um oh God, what's that drink I love? Sangria. And you get the shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Them shooters, you're paying $1 extra than what you were already paying for that shooter.
Mm.
$1. Are you serious?
Wow.
Food is already like $2, $3. You just add
Yeah.
$1 to it, man. You don't fell bumped your head. I
Mm-hmm.
could be adding a quarter, maybe 50 cents, but yo, $1.
Yeah.
You're adding $1 to that shooter and $1 to the drink, and you wonder why people don't tip. If you can't tip, stay your ass home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I get it. Your food was messed up. It came out late. You know, some things aren't always the server's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Some things aren't always the cook or the chef's fault. Sometimes it's not always the individual that's doing expo's fault. If y'all don't know what expo is, that's the last person to touch your plate before it goes on a tray to be served to you. I didn't order that. If you're a server that writes everything down, yes, you did, because it's written down right here. And I repeated it back to you, and you said yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's in your face, and you're like, I didn't order that. Yes, you did, because it's written down right here. I got proof.
Mm.
There's very few servers. I got a homegirl at a restaurant out of state. And when I say she's that damn good, there's been parties of 10 at our table, right?
Mm-hmm.
She got the drink order down. She got the food order down. She got the sides. How you want your steak cooked. How you want your burger cooked. You don't want this, but you want this in your salad. Your dressings for your salad.
Mm-hmm.
All that right there.
Mm.
You're good.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a quality that makes you that much damn better of a server.
Mm.
When we go to this restaurant, oh, I'm sorry. If she's not working, we don't go to that restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
My parents be like, you got the one day. Where are we going for dinner? Oh, you already know. Is she working? Yep. Because I already touched base with her.
Mm-hmm.
I touched base with her when I was on my way. Hey, what's your schedule? Are you working this day or this day?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to ask no more. She was like, Mark, unless it's my birthday, which happy birthday. Happy birthday weekend. She's probably not working. I know she didn't. Well, today is actually her birthday, so I know she ain't working today. I don't know about this weekend, but I was gonna go over there, but then my schedule got looped around, and um, I asked, but I didn't exactly say I was coming over. So that's probably why she didn't get back to me. But I mean, it's cool though. You know, people's schedules get warped around, and you can't always catch up. You get in where you fit in accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is why I have co-hosts. Yeah, I'm better than I was once upon a time. My producer tells me that. Once upon a time, boy, it'd have been crickets on this show. He would have joined in. I've been like, bro, ain't no one on but me tonight. Can you tag team with me?
Mm-hmm.
I do ramble a lot. I try not to, but you know, if you're rambling, but you're making sense, then it is what it is. I never knew I rambled until my son was old enough to say, can I tell you something and I not get in trouble? Yeah, you can tell me anything you want.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing too much. Oh, okay. My bad. He said, and he always tells me, he's like, I understand what you're saying. It's just a process. Like
Mm-hmm.
you didn't need to say that, and that, because that explained all that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have different fees within your? Okay, what'd you retire from?
Event planning.
Okay, what were your fees versus your competitors?
Um, I'm not really sure what their rates were. For the most part. Um, I did have different rates only because, some clients they would need full event planning where it's from start to finish. Then of course you had somebody who said, well, I need month of coordination where you come in a few months before the wedding, and then you have day of coordination where they're saying basically they're going to plan everything, but they need a professional to come in and execute because, sometimes it's not good to have your cousin or, you know, or your mother's homegirl to come and try to coordinate the day. So they bring in a professional to
Make
make
sure.
sure everything is up to par.
Right. Um, the how'd you go about knowing what to charge people?
Um, Initially I did not. When I first started, I really didn't know what to charge. And once I started going to a lot of seminars and workshops, they talked about charging, how to charge clients and things like that. So then that's how I kind of got it down. And then of course you have to charge what you're worth because planning an event or any type of event is a lot. It takes a lot of work.
hmm Trust me, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, the bigger the party, the bigger the event,
Mm-hmm.
what's gonna cause your cost to go up.
Yeah.
Um, do you want food? That's gonna raise your prices. What type of food do you want? That's gonna determine what your price is gonna be per person. Um, Alcohol beverage packages. Do you want one? You
Mm-hmm.
and this one to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
Planning accordingly from the client, from the coordinator. It is a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work. It's time consuming, and it's a lot of hair pulling.
And hand holding.
Yes. You're a grown ass man. You're a grown ass woman. Why am I holding your hand?
Mhm.
You know
Because
what I
they've
mean?
never done it before.
And on that aspect, you don't mind
Right.
because you understand. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
If you're trying to learn and you're trying to hear what we're saying versus, I know what you're saying. No, you don't, because you didn't hear a word I said.
Mhm.
You know, it's like everyday talk. Yeah, I mean, nah, you didn't say that. You know what I'm saying? Nah, because you don't make sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you know, help me help you.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Um, it's like people in everyday life. It's okay not to be okay. If you
Mhm.
don't know, then you gotta ask. Because the
Right.
only dumb question that I know of is the one that you don't answer. The one that you don't ask.
Mhm.
I don't know nothing about weddings.
Right.
I only know two people that are event coordinators. You and another woman that's just happened to be in Baltimore. Um, I've seen the different things with what you do. I've seen
Mhm.
things of what she does. You've explained different things. She's explained different things. And I'm like, man, y'all crazy as hell.
It
But
takes a lot of patience.
people say that with me feeding the homeless. It's not work if you love what you do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Everything ain't for everybody.
Right.
Oh, I can't come out there and feed the homeless. You right. Because it'll probably break your heart if you have a heart.
Mhm.
What you mean? I'm alive, ain't I? You didn't hear a word I said.
Mhm.
Is your heart red or is your heart black? Because if your heart's black, you ain't got feelings, so you don't give a damn. Now, yeah, I will go around and say, oh, I don't care. I got a black heart. That's a figure of speech.
Mhm.
Let's get that straight. That's a figure of speech. And that's on a personal level. They ain't got nothing to do with my pockets and let's take care of this business.
Yeah.
Um, people ask me, yo, how did you hang out till 1:30, 2 o'clock last night? Drink the way you did as much as you did. Because bro, you was turning up last night. But you can get up at 7:30 the next morning when you don't have to and start prepping food to cook for the homeless.
Mm.
And when I lived out by Arundel Mills in Anne Arundel County, before COVID, I was cooking 6 to 8 trays every week.
Wow.
See on Saturdays, every week for Sunday and board.
Mhm.
Collard greens, sweet potatoes, baked beans, baked mac and cheese, mixed vegetables, three different anywhere from 1 to 3 different chicken casseroles. One,
Mhm.
one with noodles, one with rice, and one was a fettuccine style.
Mhm.
Like a I can't even explain it, but you know what I'm talking about. Um that's a lot of work. That's like anywhere from 3 to 4 hours
Yeah.
in the kitchen. What you mean? Oh, we might need your help serving, bro. What
Mhm.
you mean you might need my help? I'm the host. I did all the cooking. What you
Mhm.
I didn't get up till like 10:30. Exactly. I've been up 7:30 cooking and prepping and cooking. You you want my help? I pay the cost to be the boss. But you know what? I still help though, because I love what I do.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? We going through this thing and we've been going through a struggle ever since COVID started.
Mhm.
Um, I think we only missed a month. And I was like, man, you crazy as hell. I'm not staying in. I was back out in them streets. Um, I think I dropped DC to anywhere from every 2 weeks to once a month. I don't honestly remember,
Mhm.
but I went back to doing Baltimore every week, and we left. We flip flop between under the bridge off of Saratoga, across the street from ADVERTISE.
Mhm.
Why'd they have to go out of business?
I know that food was so good.
Restaurant, and the management, the bartenders were cool than a fan.
That food was so good.
It was, and the staff was, you know, I hate to say anyone's top notch unless you're a bartender. But their staff was really good.
Mm.
You know, really, really, really good. Um, Easy to deal with. Your bartenders were incredible. Um, I compliment a bartender if you know how to make a drink. If you know how to
Mhm.
make a drink, what can I get you? I don't know. What do you want? I don't know. What are you thinking? Uh, you know what? Let's start this off with size. Let me see how good you are. Make me something blue and ignorant. I don't drink Southern Comfort. I don't do gin. I love rum. I love tequila. Surprise me. Make me something blue and ignorant. Make me something red and ignorant. You can make one of them drinks and I like it. You about to be my bartender. And you know, Mo Dirty being in the circle of Derek Chase, going to different events that and Morgan's homecoming and having his drinks. Nah, nah, that's my bartender.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's other stories as to why they call you Mo Dirty, but as a bartender, I see why they call you Mo Dirty. And I've heard them stories. Like I met a girl at Sangria one night when he was bartending one night, and she was like, no, I've had his drinks before, and I paid for it the next day. That means you drink too much. She says, no, I'm not a drinker. 2 drinks and I'm done. I had two and a half of his drinks, and I paid for it the next day. Well, maybe you drank something that you shouldn't have been drinking. But at the same time, I don't care who you are. Unless you've been drinking since you've been 13, 14, 15, 16. You ain't got no tolerance in your early mid 20s. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And let's be real, if you ain't got no tolerance, you ain't drinking like that anyways. Cause you ain't gonna make it 3, 4 hours at a club, at a lounge, or wherever you're going. You're not gonna make it because your body ain't gonna let you. Your body's gonna be like, fool, sit down. Like, could I do what I did in my early mid 20s, late 20s, early 30s, what I do now? Hell no. My bartender Mikey out of Ronald Mills, he'll tell you. He'll tell you like you tell a total stranger. This dude right here, I don't know how he drinks, what he drinks, how much he drinks, including shots, and come
Mm.
in the next day and do it all over again like he didn't do nothing the night before.
Mm.
I can drink Hennessy and Coke and do shots of tequila. You're
Mm.
mixing dark and light. You're not supposed to be able to do that. And you don't get hangovers? No, I don't.
Mm.
That 3 months when we weren't allowed to go nowhere, when I came back, yeah, my body told me sit down before you hurt yourself because you can't do that big boy stuff right now. You ain't done it in 3 months.
Mm.
I mean, you have a drink here and there with your neighbors. I don't drink by myself. Very rarely. I
Mhm.
do now, but very rarely. Like if I'm if doing this, you don't know what anyone's drinking because we don't advertise. Future reference, if you're ever on the show again, you will be. Because I said so. So whenever you want to come back, just let me know and we can make that happen.
Okay.
All we ask is you try to keep your language to a minimum and you don't advertise what you're drinking. Reason being is shout out to my radio mentor, Miss Be Inspired. I took over her time slot at Be Exposed August of 2018. And she was like, I only have 2 rules. No cussing, no drinking. You can have a drink, put it in a cup, and advertise. I don't know if that was her thing, if it was Be Exposed Radio's thing. You slip up here and there, whether you're watching it or not, you're gonna slip. Look, you can attest to it. I'm a child of a Navy man. My father had sailor's mouth, kind of rubbed off. So I try to watch what I'm doing, and I try to keep, if we're talking about a lot of stuff that goes on in society today, you're gonna get a little excited. You're gonna get a little bit of your feelings involved. So within your talking, because now your heart pressure's going up, you're not gonna be watching every word that comes out of your mouth. So 1 or 2 is gonna slip. That's not what the rules and regulations, figuratively speaking, mine. Look, just try to keep the language to a normal. You know what I mean? The everyday talk, no, I'm not gonna do that on my show because I'm not gonna have a show long because I'm not gonna have an audience. Shout out to everyone that tuned in tonight. Trust and believe. The umpteen million shares I will be doing, if not tonight, I will be doing throughout the morning tomorrow. Because when I get off this radio show, we're gonna have our 2 bits, and then you're gonna go, and then me and my producer are gonna talk. He's probably gonna wring my neck because I've rambled a few times tonight. But with what you do now, because you're kind of semi-retired, share your social media on how people can get in contact with you.
Yes. So everyone can find us on all of our social is at Style to the Owl. So that's how you can find us. Our website is styleToTheOwl.com. My IG is STA_editor, but for Style to the Owl, all of our social media is at Style to the Owl.
Do you have a magazine too?
We did, but we are, like I said, we're doing a big transition for 2023. So, but we are still keeping our digital platform online. That's still going to be up, but the magazine itself, we're kind of phasing that out. But the digital platform, we're keeping that up and running.
In your opinion, is that the way of a lot of magazines are going because everything is so
digital?
Right. Because I notice you don't see a lot of the different magazines that you might have seen 10 years ago.
Right.
If I want to know who's doing what, I don't get online. That takes too long. Yeah. I'm never home enough. And 10 years ago, you didn't have the platform within cell phones with the internet. I mean, so I'm always out, man. Let me drop in this bookstore real quick. Let me look at the music magazines. Let me look at the model magazines. Let me look at this, the Black Men magazine, Smooth magazine, Double XL.
Yeah.
All them different hip hop magazines, model magazines, photographer magazines. Let me see who's doing what, because if they're in this magazine, like music artists and models and actors and actresses, if they're in a magazine, they're not doing nothing, because magazines don't pay a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
Here I am on board. Come get me because I'm free. Let your man go. You know what I mean? Like, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Beyonce. Just because I'm on the cover of a magazine doesn't mean I'm booked. I'm doing magazines because I'm free right now, and that's what's available to me. So if you want,
Mhm.
come get me because I'm ready. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? No, it wasn't her. It wasn't her. It was Tyra Banks. Um, and once upon a time when I was doing Skyline models, I would tell the client, look, you have no idea what you're getting into. Why do you want to model?
Mhm.
Oh, I want to be this. I want to make money. Wrong. You're in the wrong business. Go get a job. Because unless you can afford to invest in yourself, because mommy and daddy ain't going to do it all the time if they got it.
Mhm.
And even if they do got it, you're not making no money. So why am I investing in this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and it's not cheap. If
Mm-mm.
if you got bare minimum X amount of dollars, I'm not gonna say what because times have changed. So I'm sure them prices have probably gone up too. Um, I thought I would never in my life get back into fashion modeling. And
Mhm.
here I am. And I said, you got 3 years to have me in a magazine or I'm done. Well, I didn't get in a magazine here, but I got published in a magazine outside that's based out of the UK.
Oh, nice.
So I was like, my first phone call was to my parents.
Mhm.
I don't know why, but I didn't feel as though I need to tell anyone. It's
Mhm.
it's on my social media. If you didn't see it, sorry for you because it's there. It was. I don't remember if I did it as my profile page or my background page on either one of them, but I know
Mhm.
I posted it, and I think I posted it on both a couple different times. Um, but it was interesting. It was it was rewarding. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like in the early days in the 90s, early 2000s, that was like hard to get into. It's not that hard to get in a magazine anymore. Why? Because everything is digital. You know what I mean? If you got the interesting look,
Mhm.
sorry, I cheated because my interesting look is very interesting. Um, did I get in because of this? Well, I'm not. I'm not horrifying looking. I don't think I'm the best looking man in the world, but I don't think I'm that bad looking. I think I probably look a whole lot more attractive if I cut this bear off my face. But I like my bear. I like the compliments I get. I like the conversations that I have with people, men and women. I get a lot of compliments from women because
Mhm.
of the beauty of it. Like the first thing is always, "Oh my God, look at your beard. Your beard
Mhm.
looks absolutely lovely,
Mhm.
absolutely gorgeous. I can't believe how healthy your
Mhm.
hair looks." Why? Because I'm a man. And a lot of them say, yeah,
Mhm.
you don't have a lot of men that have knowledge of what it takes to keep your hair healthy. When I started really taking an interest on the health aspect of hair,
Mhm.
that's when I stopped talking about women when it comes to a hair salon. So men, if you're talking trash about the woman, she was at the hair salon for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, she ain't lying. This is only from the bottom of my chin. This is
Mhm.
right. This right here, just a thorough rinse, wash, rinse, condition, rinse, blow dry and style.
Mm-hmm.
It's 30 minutes in the bathroom.
Mm.
Just the maintenance of the beard, not me
Yeah.
painting and drying off and putting my clothes on.
Right.
Just the beard. So imagine how long it was when the beard was down to my hips.
Mm.
That was an
Wow.
hour and 15 at least. And you're a woman. Well, you don't have that problem, but once upon a time, you did have long hair.
I
So,
did.
as a woman,
Yeah.
hair doesn't like to cooperate. So sometimes you have to re-wet it and start over. So that hour and 15 minutes can easily turn into an hour 30, hour 40 minutes.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So, how'd you like being on the show?
It was fun.
I've
It
never
was
asked
fun.
the question before. I've never asked it, and I think that's the only thing now that I can still say I don't like about Zoom versus being in the studio. Being in the studio, you have one-on-one time with the special guests
Mm-hmm.
when you first come in,
Right. Yeah.
between your commercials,
Mm-hmm.
after the show. You have all that one-on-one time, whereas Zoom, it's like before and after. Well,
Mm-hmm.
we're on the show together, but you don't have that one-on-one. It's not the same thing as being in the studio.
Yeah.
What I do like about Zoom is why I do it, because it's just like the producer said. Look at every door that's available to you. I'm in Baltimore. One co-host, Marie Starr, is in the DC area. My special guest co-host, Latesha Higgs, she's in ATL.
Yeah.
Not sure where you're from, but you're where you're at.
Right.
That's 4 different locations if both of them were on the show tonight.
Mm-hmm.
How is that possible? Because technology.
Yeah.
So if I could ever say thank you to COVID for anything, thank you, COVID, for blowing up Zoom.
It's time to go.
Because every door is open to you. You don't even have to leave your house.
Mark.
Yep, I heard you. That's my producer, everybody, telling me shut up and say goodbye. As we used to say once upon a time, Skylyne Radio Talk Show is the fastest 2 hours you'll ever experience. Again, as always, we got you in our thoughts and prayers, Marie Starr. Latesha Higgs, you were here in spirit. I'll see you next week, providing you're available. Thank you for everyone that tuned in. Thank you, Mr. Producer Monty. You're the best. Thank you, Miss Michelle Davis. I enjoyed it. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Like I said, we'll have you back soon. You let us know when you're ready. Let's do May, June.
Okay.
That sounds good to me. Enjoy your evening. Have a fabulous and blessed weekend. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. This is Be Exposed Radio, Skylyne Radio Talk Show. Peace and blessings. God be with you.